House Garage. I'm going to build one of my two-player consoles. They run Raspberry Pi. I use a 3B Plus. Most of them, they're pretty fair in price, and they can run just about everything. I got a button kit from Amazon here, and I made these boards. You can't just buy one of these boards, so you might want to just figure out what you're doing. When you're buying buttons, make sure you buy the buttons first before you drill the holes. So some button kits have the start and select button is a different size than the regular buttons. So these are smaller, and I got to open them up with the Dremel to kind of get them to fit right. And the spacing's pretty tight on here, so I want to open up that way out. So we'll get started. I'm just going to start roughing in all the buttons, get everything set up, and then we'll go into wiring it and how to set up the boards. There's just it's just a little plastic nut with a kind of flared end to grab a hold of whatever you're screwing it to. Make sure that you put them on the right way. The flared part should be going towards the surface that you're screwing it down to. I'm just going to knock these out real quick, and then we'll press on. Make sure you leave enough spacing between the buttons to get the nut on. So another thing to check before you start drilling is kind of use these as a template to keep the spacing right, so they're not sitting on top of each other and making your buttons all wonky. Some of them don't want to go on. It's just kind of the way it is. It's a plastic nut, and they might try to cross thread on you. So just take your time. I'm trying to rush because I'm trying to make a video here. So the one behind me is an 8-button config. So you have it's kind of like for Super Nintendo. Nothing more than that, because you just don't have enough buttons to do like PlayStation. So your start and select, you have your B, A, X, Y, and then your 2 shoulder buttons I usually put on the end. Depends on the way you like the layout. With that layout on Raspberry Pi, it kind of makes it weird to play Sega Genesis games. So try it. You can always go back in and reconfig and set up the controller the way you like it. That's the good thing about the Raspberry Pi and retropie emulation is you can always go in and reset up your inputs. The hotkey is especially kind of a weird thing to do with Raspberry Pi. Now it has a hotkey. Instead of hitting start and select, you actually have a separate button. So there's one on the side of that cabinet. I got to kind of figure out what I'm going to do on this. All right, and then like I said, these are a little tight. So I need to open them up with the Dremel tool. So I'll grab myself a button. I have a foot pedal for my Dremel. You can buy those anywhere. It's kind of like a plug. I get a lot of stuff from Amazon. It's just the nature of the beast. It's convenient and makes it a lot easier to just get stuff in like a couple days. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to just open up these holes so that we can get it to drop in. Try to make them about the same on both sides, just so that you can have the right spacing. It doesn't look weird that you open it up. You can go a little bigger. If you go a little bigger on the holes, it's not a big deal. You can go a little bigger. If you go a little bigger, it's not a big deal. There's a flange on this that kind of make it so that it hides some of your mistakes. almost there. And this is just a regular drum sanding tool. It cuts this plexi pretty good. It kind of melts it, you'll smell it. There we go, there's one. I'm gonna do the other one and we'll be right back. All right, so they're in there. I'll give you a little shot of it. You got some wiggle room, but the hole's not bad. It's opened up a little bit. So this is your 5-way controller. You want this thing facing that way, but it really doesn't matter. I like it this way because I can mount the boards right here, and it just makes it easier to wire everything up. So what we're gonna do is, I got some 3M double-sided tape. I love this stuff. It really grabs well. We're gonna measure it out and just cut us 2 strips. And if you have trouble getting a hold of the edge, usually if you stretch it a little bit, it'll pull stuff away from it. I don't have fingernails, so this stuff's a little tricky for me sometimes. Mount that one, and you're just going to push it on there. We're going to leave it a little loose because we're going to want to readjust this thing probably once we get it up and in. The hardest part is getting it lined up perfect with the hole. So obviously you're not going to be able to see this while you're pushing down on it. So what I do is I kind of tip it up, come in from the back, and kind of walk it in, and then I'll flip it back over and I'll press it down real hard and set it. You want to try to get it as best you can perpendicular with the box. That's pretty good. All right, we're going to call that good. All right, so that's in. Okay, one thing you want to be noticeable of, some of these have this plug kind of like an old printer, and then some of them have another plug like this for your actual USB port. So with these, it's a little harder to get them the way you like because you got this much more room. So see, if I put it like right here, that thing's got to take a hard 90. So sometimes I'll mount them like this, just right in between these buttons. Everything can walk right into there, and then I can still get the control stick out. You see right here, that's where the center bar goes. So I'm going to notch that out as I go to kind of get the buttons. They got to be on this side of the bar anyway to go into the Raspberry Pi. Yeah, so I'm going to knock that out right now. Same thing, we're going to measure us a little piece. This stuff holds up really good. Like I said, I use them on the controllers, and I haven't had one fall off yet. We're going to set them right there. All right. And then as far as these buttons go, so right here this is the port you're going to hook this up to. So you're going to hook this guy up to this port right here. So we're going to unhook that, put it like that, and like this. Okay, so now you got all your buttons, or this line right here, this back line. These are your button hookups, and then this is the actual joystick hookup. So it really doesn't matter where you put these, because when you go in and do the config, you're going to pick which button's which. Now, if you're running like a retro or a Pandora's box or something like that, it is going to matter a little bit for you because the box is going to want you to plug it into certain ports. I like these buttons because they're LED. They're a little flashy, so it brings people's attention to the boards, and they really like them. I haven't had any problems with them like taking a crap on me as far as like being not as good as what I wanted or cheap construction, but that's like I said, I put a lot of these together. I've tried a bunch of different configurations. So as you can see, this stuff's pretty well stuck on there. Got our controller. We're going to put our washer on like that, and then you just hold this chrome piece and screw on your ball. That's it. So here's how you hook up the control board. You'll take this and hook it in to your Raspberry Pi. I start with these two top ports, this port and then this port for my two controllers, and now these other two are going to be hooked up to an extension. So here's an extension, and what I do with this is I run this to the outside of the box. That way you can always plug in a USB and update your drives, or you can plug in a wireless or a keyboard and edit whatever's on the Raspberry Pi that you don't like. You can add and delete games real easy. You can also change configs, go in and set up the wireless. You can set up wireless controllers with them. It's a real versatile tool, so have fun with it. Any questions, go ahead and hit me up. Once again, I'm Brick. This is Brick Out Garage. You guys have a great day. Alright, thanks for tuning in to the first episode of Brick House Garage. Sorry about the grainy footage. I was trying out some different cameras. I'm going to do a review on that camera specifically versus the GoPros that you see now. I picked up a bunch of GoPros now, so we should be good to go. Stay tuned. We're going to do the final section of the RetroPie build next week. And we'll show you how to program the card and all that and set up your config. And the final shots of the box. If you got any questions, you got ideas for projects, let me know. I'm always willing to build some stuff, man, just to help somebody out. I'll show you what you need to do or what I can figure out on how to do it. So I got a lot of car work to do coming up this week. We got some Supras coming in soon, and I got some general maintenance stuff coming in this week too. So I'll get it all on tape. We'll see you back again here at Brick House Garage. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that little bell so that you get notified when we put up a new video. Thanks again for tuning in. You have a great day.